are new launches condos so expensive but still so many people rushing to buy? Aren't they afraid of overpaying and next time no one wants to buy from them? Or is there actually a strategy behind this? What if I tell you some buyers are actually entering at a safer price and positioning themselves to make money from day one? Today I'm going to show you how. This is something I use to help my clients avoid overpaying. And the truth is, it actually happens in almost every new launch project. Developers don't just randomly price units, they follow a three-phase pricing strategy. And once you understand this, you start to see where the real opportunity lies. First of all, we need to understand how developer operates. Even though they are big companies, they don't use all their money to build projects. They bid for land and they take loans from the banks so that they can actually manage the cash flow to do different and multiple projects at the same time. So their goal is not just to sell, it's to sell strategically. So we need to know the three phases of the developer pricing. Phase 1, entry pricing. So over here in phase 1, the developer usually price units very attractive. Why? Because they want to attract buyers and build confidence in the project, so that a strong sales number helps them to secure financing from the bank. Like I said before, they do not put all the money to build a development. They need to borrow from the bank. And in order to do that, they actually need to show the bank that they have a certain or a good take-up rate on the project. So basically, if let's say a project on the first day is able to sell about 40 to 50%, they are able to probably secure finance from the bank. So this is where they start to feel a little bit more relaxed. So for customers who are actually buying at phase 1, this is where you are buying at most likely the lowest and you have most choices. This is what I call the safe entry zone where smart buyers enter. So once the take-up rate is about 60% or more, it moves into phase 2, which is what we call the price adjustment. Once the sales hit more than about 80 to 90%, developer will start increasing price and they will adjust based on the demand. And lastly, you will go to phase 3, which is the profit maximization. When the project hits about 80 to 90% sold, developer will push the price even higher, focusing on maximizing the profit. At this stage, there's limited units left, less flexibility, and you're usually buying at a higher or highest price. Buyers here at phase 3 will be actually paying a premium. Well, there will still be buyers who's willing to pay because it's probably going to TOP in the next half or 1 year. So clients who are not able to wait will still buy at phase 3. Let me share with you some case studies. Let's take a look at Treasure at Tampines. As we know, Treasure at Tampines is a mega project that was launched in 2019, where interest rate was very high. So a lot of buyers are very skeptical back then, worrying about high interest rate and the high installment. Imagine you're the developer and you actually have 2,000 plus of units to sell on the first day. Will you be very stressed? I mean, honestly, I think everyone will be stressed. So on the first day itself, which is phase 1, in fact, the developer priced it very attractive. However, because of the high interest rates, a lot of customers are still very skeptical. As mentioned earlier, it only sold 272 units on the first day of launch. So you can see that phase 1 actually lasted a while. Even until phase 2, it did not actually increase a lot. And finally, at phase 3, you can see that the prices actually went up. So let's dig further to see what really happens. So for Treasure, because it's a mega project, the phase 1 and phase 2 lasted almost 2 to 3 years. But you can see eventually at phase 3, the prices actually went up. Let's take a look at customers who bought at phase 1 versus customers who bought at phase 3. You can see over here, for a customer who actually bought at phase 1, they actually bought at about 1289 PSF. And a buyer actually bought at phase 2, they bought at about 1339 PSF. Both the same step 119. And here come another customer who bought at phase 3, step 120. He actually bought at 1703 PSF. So you can see over here, for phase 1 and phase 2 buyer, they actually bought a better phasing, which is step 119. It is actually unblocked view. But yet, it actually bought so much cheaper than a customer who bought at phase 3 at 1703 PSF. There's actually a difference of almost 300,000. So for customers who bought it right at phase 1 and phase 2, they just need to sell the cost of phase 3 buyer. They actually have already a profit of 300k. And is it easier for you to sell an unblocked view at step 119 versus the expressway view? So if you can actually enter at phase 1, you not just buy into a lower PSF, you're able to choose a better phasing with much more price protection and a higher capital appreciation. Let me use another example, Key Residences. Key Residences developer also adopt this three-phase price strategy. You can see over here the phase 1 pricing to phase 2 actually increased only a little bit, But the real profit and price increment comes in phase 3. A buyer actually bought a unit at 0627, and you can see that they actually bought at 1784 PSF at phase 1. And at phase 2, the prices adjust a little bit, where the buyer actually buy a lower floor, third floor, same stack at 1924 PSF. And the phase 3 buyer actually bought it even lower floor at 0227 at a higher PSF at 2330 PSF. So for a buyer that actually buy into phase 1 versus phase 3, there's actually almost more than 500,000 savings. That is because the developer helped to push the prices up. Let's look at one more example, Florence Residences. So Florence Residences was also launched in 2019, where interest rate was actually very high. So same thing, buyers are very skeptical, and the developer has more than 1,000 units to sell. So do you think the developer is stressed? So you can see over here, we have one which is actually bought in 2019 on the 8th floor. It was actually sold at 1373 PSF. And just a few years later, when it was actually bought in phase 3 in 2022, 4th floor, a lower floor, the buyer actually bought at a higher PSF, 1660 PSF. So you can see over here, same stack, one on the 8th floor and one on the 4th floor. But the 8th floor, in fact, is actually buying at a cheaper price with almost 300,000 savings. So when it's actually TOP, the 8th floor just needs to sell same price as of the 4th floor to get a profit of 300,000. And do you think it's easier for the 8th floor to sell at this price or easier for the 4th floor to sell at this price? So definitely there's actually a big price protection for buyers who actually buy into phase 1. If you understand these 3 phases, would you rather enter at a more attractive price or enter later when the prices are already being pushed up by the developer? Because the difference in entry price can directly affect your risk and potential upside. This is exactly how I help my clients identify phase 1 opportunities, understanding the developer pricing strategy and avoid chasing prices when it's too late, so that my buyer don't just buy, they buy with an advantage. You don't make money when you sell, but you make money when you buy right. If you're wondering which projects still have the safe entry price, feel free to DM me and we can chat over a coffee. Once again, I'm Christine and see you soon.